everyone. I know you guys aren't really used to seeing me. I'm usually behind the camera. But I kind of figured that since we got the page started, Fire Duck Call Ducks, that you guys probably had some questions on how we got the name Fire Duck Call Ducks and kind of what we're doing here with our social media page. Just a quick introduction about me. I have been raising call ducks since I was 13 or 14. Showed in 4-H. I showed some of the really big shows in the Midwest. It was one of my hobbies growing up, and I loved it. I love the ducks. They are so much fun. But back when I was in my early 20s, I had to take a little bit of a break due to a health issue that came up, and also some personal issues that had come up as well. But back in 2020, I decided to try and start raising them again. So we gathered some eggs from my foundation stock, got them in an incubator. This was in late June, early July of 2020. And in later July of 2020, I was home alone, and I woke up about 3 in the morning to an apartment full of smoke. And what's going through my mind is, what I leave on and how much trouble am I in? Well, it turned out that something in the kitchen downstairs had caught fire, and the whole kitchen was on fire downstairs. Well, I called the fire department. They came out. They put the fire out. And, in this moment, you're not 100% there. You just not there. It doesn't seem real in that moment. But one of the firefighters came up to me, and he's like, "Hey, you have anything upstairs that you need to get out?" And at this point, it took me a minute, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have some eggs upstairs in an incubator." And he's like, "You have what?" I'm like, "They're duck eggs." I'm like, "They're in an incubator upstairs." And I'm like, but at this point, I'm like, "I don't think they're alive." And he's like, "Do you want to go get them?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "We'll go get them. We'll see what happens." So we went up there and got them, and I brought them down, and I had this random styrofoam box in the back of my truck. I'm like, don't ask me. I have random things in my vehicles. But I put them in there, and in the meantime, there was a cat that was downstairs, and she was on the high priority list. So we grab her, eggs are in the back of the truck, and I'm driving kind of crazy to get the cat to the vet. And unfortunately, she did not make it. But during this time, I called a friend, and I'm like, "Hey, is your incubator still up?" And she's like, "No, why?" And I'm like, told her what happened, and she's like, "Bring them over." So she started up her incubator. We got the eggs over there. And again, if you know anything about call ducks, or in raising call ducks, you know they're very touchy. And being out of an incubator for a few hours at this point, in a vehicle with me driving like a crazy person, I'm not thinking they're going to be alive. Well, about a week later, it might not quite been a week, I don't quite remember, my friend calls me, and she's like, "Your eggs are hatching." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yep, they're hatching. You might want to come over." And I'm like, "All right." So, came over, checked on them. Sure enough, they were working on hatching. And at this point, I'm still trying to process what happened. But it was a little bit of joy and a bunch of crazy. And it was kind of unique. But at this point, they hatched, and she held on to them. I'm very grateful that she did, because we were at that point of nobody knew what was going on. Things were crazy. Life was crazy. And so she held on to them. And a couple years ago, I lost my foundation stock to some unfortunate circumstances that had happened in 2021 at this point. So I am just at that point in my life where I'm ready to give up. I didn't want to do it anymore. I just was done. But I have some amazing people in my life that pulled me aside and were like, no, you enjoy this too much. This is what you did when you were younger. You love doing it. We're not going to let you give up that easily. So, kind of got it together, and we started out with the fire duck, who is this little girl right here with me right now. She's one that survived the house fire, survived me driving like a crazy human, and hatched and thrived. And now we have her son, who I will introduce in another video, and some of her grandbabies, who are this year's babies, that are going to be on the show string this year. And they are all going to be very good birds. And it's just kind of crazy to me. Like, this all is starting up from a little duck that should not be alive. So we decided to share the story because I'm sure a lot of people find it kind of interesting of what happened. And I kind of want to share a little bit of my life in these videos. So that's pretty much where we started. Now we are getting back into showing, and I am getting back into it with some amazing people. And I hope that somebody somewhere gets some inspiration out of this story. There will be more stories coming. It's not just the story. There's a lot of stories. But this is where we're going to start. I will introduce some of the other Foundation ducks, which are her offspring, in some other videos. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and shoot me a message or comment on this video, and I'll do the best that I can to reply. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it's nice meeting all y'all, and I hope to see you in the next video.